She was ignored at the wedding until a stranger billionaire said, "Dance with me." Isabella Moore sat alone at table 12, the furthest from the bride and groom, watching her ex-boyfriend Marcus kiss his new wife under the Santorini sunset. 5 years she'd given him. 5 years of supporting his dreams, believing in their future, only to be discarded for someone with the right last name and bank account. The whispers followed her everywhere. Can you believe she actually came? That dress looks like it's from a department store. Marcus definitely upgraded. She was about to leave when a shadow fell across her table. She looked up to see a man who seemed carved from moonlight itself. Sharp jawline, midnight eyes, wearing a tuxedo that probably cost more than her yearly rent. "Everyone seems to have forgotten how beautiful tonight is," Alexander Knight said, extending his hand to the woman everyone had ignored all evening. "Dance with me." The entire reception fell silent. The billionaire investor, the man who never danced at these events, was standing before Marcus's discarded ex-girlfriend with his hand outstretched. Isabella's heart stopped. "You don't even know me." His lips curved into a smile that made her forget her own name. "Then let's fix that." Before we dive into this incredible story of unexpected love and redemption, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our emotional love stories. Isabella stared at the extended hand, her mind racing. She recognized him now. Alexander Knight, the mysterious billionaire who'd partnered with Marcus's company 6 months ago. The man Forbes called the Ghost of Wall Street because he appeared and disappeared from deals like smoke, leaving only success in his wake. He was Marcus's key to everything, the golden ticket to the upper echelons of society her ex-boyfriend so desperately wanted to join. "I don't think that's a good idea," she said quietly, aware of hundreds of eyes on them. "Why not?" "Because you're Marcus's business partner, because everyone's staring, because I don't belong here." Alexander's eyes, were they grey or blue, studied her with an intensity that made her skin warm. 3 reasons. Let me give you 3 better ones. Because Marcus is an idiot, because let them stare, and because you belong anywhere you choose to be. Before she could respond, he gently took her hand, pulling her to her feet. The contact sent electricity through her entire body. His hand was warm, calloused in unexpected places. This was a man who did more than sign papers and attend galas. The crowd parted as he led her to the dance floor. Isabella could feel the weight of every gaze, hear the whispers rising like a tide. She caught a glimpse of Marcus's face, shock morphing into something darker. His new bride, Penelope, looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. "Everyone's watching," Isabella whispered, as Alexander positioned them for a waltz. "Good," he said simply, placing one hand on her waist with a confidence that made her breath catch. "Let them see what they've been missing." The music swelled, a slow romantic melody that seemed to wrap around them like silk. Alexander moved with surprising grace for someone so tall, leading her through the steps as if they'd done this 1,000 times before. "You know how to waltz," she observed, trying to focus on something other than how perfectly her hand fit in his, how his cologne smelled like cedar and ocean air. "My mother insisted, said a gentleman should know how to make a woman feel like she's floating." His voice dropped lower. "Are you floating, Isabella?" She startled. "You know my name. I make it my business to know interesting things." "I'm not interesting. The woman who loved Marcus Chen for 5 years, who helped him build his company from nothing, who he stupidly let go for a trust fund princess. That's very interesting." Isabella missed a step, but Alexander's firm grip kept her steady. "How do you—" "Marcus talks when he drinks, and he drinks when he's nervous, and he's been very nervous since sending you that invitation. He sent it to hurt me, to show me what I lost. He sent it because he's realizing what he lost, but it's too late now." "Why do you say that?" Alexander spun her, and when she came back to him, he was closer than before. "Because I don't give up things I want, and I decided 10 minutes ago that I want to know everything about you." "That's presumptuous. That's honest. I've built a fortune on recognizing value others overlook. Marcus overlooked you. His loss. The song was ending, but Alexander didn't release her. Instead, he guided her seamlessly into the next dance as other couples joined them on the floor. Isabella was hyper-aware of everything. The warm press of his hand on her lower back, the way he shortened his steps to match hers, how he positioned himself to block her view of Marcus and Penelope. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Dancing with you." "Being kind to me. You don't know me. I'm nobody to you." Alexander stopped dancing, right there in the middle of the floor. His hands came up to frame her face, and suddenly the crowded reception might as well have been empty. "Listen to me," he said, his voice low and intense. "You are not nobody. You are the woman who walked into her ex's wedding with her head high, who sat alone rather than leave and let them win, who has more grace in your little finger than anyone in this room. You are somebody, and if you can't see that yet, then let me see it for you until you can." Isabella felt tears prick her eyes. "You don't even know me. Then teach me." He resumed dancing, pulling her closer. "Start with something simple. What's your favorite color?" Despite everything, she laughed. "That's your big opening question? Colors matter. They tell you about a person's soul. Blue, but not bright blue. That soft blue, just before sunrise, when the world is still sleeping. Dawn blue, interesting. Mine is green." "Like money?" He chuckled, and the sound rumbled through his chest where her hand rested. "Like your eyes." Isabella's breath caught. "My eyes are hazel, with green flecks when you laugh. I noticed when you smiled at the waiter earlier." "You were watching me earlier?" "I've been watching you all evening. You're the only real person here." "What does that mean?" "Look around." He spun her so she could see the other guests. "Everyone here is performing. The perfect dress, the perfect smile, the perfect conversation. But you? You're just you. No pretense, no act. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" "Your world," Isabella repeated. "We're from different universes, Mr. Knight." "Alexander. And universes can collide. Sometimes that's how new worlds are made." Before she could respond, the music shifted to something faster, more modern. Alexander raised an eyebrow. "Shall we show them how it's really done?" "I don't really dance to pop music." But he was already moving, pulling her into a rhythm that was playful and sexy and completely inappropriate for her ex's wedding. And Isabella found herself laughing, really laughing, as this impossibly handsome billionaire proved he could move to any beat. Other couples gave them space, creating a circle around them. Alexander spun her, dipped her, drew her close, then spun her away, all with a grin that transformed his face from handsome to devastating. Isabella forgot about her simple dress, forgot about the whispers, forgot about everything except the joy of moving to music with someone who made her feel alive. When the song ended, Alexander pulled her close, both of them breathing hard. The crowd applauded, but he only had eyes for her. "Terrace," he said, "now." "Why?" "Because I'm about to kiss you, and I don't think Marcus deserves the show." Isabella's heart hammered as he led her through the French doors onto the terrace overlooking the Aegean Sea. The moon was full, turning the water to liquid silver. White-wrapped fixtures cast a soft glow over the space, and the sound of waves mixed with distant music from inside. "Better," Alexander said, releasing her hand to lean against the stone railing. "I can actually hear myself think out here." "And what are you thinking?" He turned to look at her, and the intensity in his gaze made her shiver despite the warm evening. "I'm thinking that Marcus Chen is the stupidest man alive. I'm thinking that you're the most intriguing woman I've met in years. And I'm thinking that if I don't kiss you in the next 30 seconds, I might actually die. That seems dramatic. I'm a dramatic person. I hide it well behind spreadsheets and board meetings. But it's there." He moved closer, backing her gently against the railing. "May I?" "May you what?" "Kiss you. I'm old-fashioned that way. I always ask the first time." "And after the first time," his eyes darkened, "after the first time, you'll be asking me." The arrogance should have annoyed her. Instead, it sent heat straight through her core. "You're very sure of yourself." "I'm very sure of this." His hand came up to cup her cheek. "I'm very sure that the moment I saw you, something shifted in my chest. I'm very sure that dancing with you was the first time I've felt alive in 2 years. And I'm very sure that if you give me a chance, I'll make you forget Marcus Chen ever existed." "That's a big promise. I don't make small ones." He kissed her then, and Isabella understood what he meant about being sure. This wasn't the tentative kiss of strangers or the passionate collision of drunk wedding guests. This was intentional, deliberate, a kiss that said, "I choose this, I choose you." His lips were soft but insistent, one hand cradling her face while the other settled on her waist, anchoring her to the moment. Isabella had been kissed before. Marcus had kissed her thousands of times in their 5 years together. But this was different. This was a claiming and a question, a promise and a plea. When Alexander's tongue traced the seam of her lips, she opened for him with a sigh that seemed to come from her soul. The kiss deepened, and Isabella's hands found their way to his hair, messing up what was probably a $100 haircut. Alexander groaned against her mouth, pressing closer until she could feel the heat of him through his tuxedo. "Well, this is cozy." They broke apart to find Marcus standing in the doorway, his face flushed with anger and what looked suspiciously like jealousy. Alexander didn't move away from Isabella. If anything, he positioned himself slightly in front of her, protective. "Marcus, shouldn't you be with your bride? Shouldn't you be keeping your hands off my—" Marcus stopped, seemed to realize what he was about to say. "Your what?" Alexander's voice was dangerously soft. "Your ex-girlfriend? The woman you discarded? The one you invited here to humiliate?" "I didn't." "You did. We both know it. What you didn't count on was someone recognizing her value. You don't even know her. I know she spent 5 years building your confidence while you tore hers down. I know she worked 2 jobs to support you through business school. I know she designed the app interface that got you your first investor. Should I continue?" Isabella stared at Alexander. "How could you possibly know all that? I do my research. When Marcus pitched to me 6 months ago, I investigated everything. Imagine my surprise when I discovered the real brain behind his success was someone he never mentioned." Marcus's face went pale. "You knew." "I knew. I invested anyway because the technology was sound, even if the man was worthless." Alexander's arm came around Isabella's waist. "But finding out you were stupid enough to let her go, that was just confirmation of my assessment." "This is about business. You're using her to get to me." Isabella felt Alexander tense, and when he spoke, his voice was lethal. "If I wanted to destroy you professionally, Marcus, I wouldn't need Isabella. I could do it with one phone call. This isn't about business. This is about a beautiful, brilliant woman finally being seen by someone who understands her worth. You just met her. And in 3 hours, I've shown her more respect than you did in 5 years." Marcus took a step forward, his hands clenching into fists. "You think you're better than me? You think your money makes you—" "I think," Alexander interrupted calmly, "that you should return to your wedding. Your bride is probably wondering where you are. Unless, of course, you'd like to explain to her why you're out here confronting your ex-girlfriend." "This isn't over," Marcus said, but his threat sounded hollow. "Yes, it is." Isabella spoke for the first time since Marcus appeared. "It's been over for a year, Marcus. You ended it, remember? You sat me down in our apartment, the one I paid for, and told me I wasn't suitable for your future, that Penelope had the connections you needed. Bella, that's not— Don't call me that. You lost the right to call me that when you chose money over love. I loved you. You loved what I did for you. There's a difference." She stepped out from behind Alexander's protective stance. "I spent 5 years making myself smaller so you could feel bigger. I dimmed my light so yours could shine brighter. And when you finally got successful, using my ideas, my designs, my connections, you threw me away like I was nothing. You don't understand the pressure I was under, to marry rich, to social climb. No, I don't understand that, because I loved you for you, not for what you could give me." Penelope appeared in the doorway then, her designer dress rustling with indignation. "Marcus, what's going on? Our guests are asking—" She stopped when she saw Isabella. "Oh," Her. "Hello, Penelope," Isabella said quietly. "Congratulations on your wedding." Penelope's perfectly painted lips curved into a sneer. "How desperate do you have to be to show up at your ex's wedding? It's pathetic, really." Alexander laughed, the sound sharp as broken glass. "What's pathetic is marrying a man who's still in love with another woman." "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Look at him. He abandoned his own wedding reception to come out here and confront Isabella. Does that seem like the behavior of a man who's moved on?" Penelope turned to Marcus, her face paling beneath her makeup. "Is that true?" "Of course not. I came out here because Knight is my business partner and I saw him kissing the woman you can't stop talking about." Alexander supplied helpfully. "Yes, that must have been difficult to watch. I don't talk about her." "No? Then who's the Bella you called out in your sleep last week?" Penelope's voice had gone shrill. "Who's the woman you compare me to when you think I'm not listening?" The terrace fell silent except for the sound of waves below. "I think," Alexander said after a moment, "we should leave the newlyweds to their discussion. Isabella." He offered her his arm and she took it, allowing him to lead her past the stunned couple. As they walked through the reception, Isabella was aware of every eye following them, of the whispers that rose in their wake. But with Alexander beside her, his presence solid and reassuring, she found she didn't care. They didn't stop until they reached the parking area where a sleek black Bentley waited. "Your car." "One of them," he said, opening the passenger door for her. "Get in." "Where are we going?" "Anywhere but here. Unless you want to stay and watch the fireworks when Penelope realizes what she's actually married." Isabella slid into the car, the leather seat soft as butter. Alexander moved around to the driver's side, and soon they were winding down the coastal road, the wedding venue disappearing behind them. "I can't believe that just happened," Isabella said after a few minutes of silence. "Which part? The dancing, the kissing, or the complete destruction of your ex's marriage?" "All of it. This morning I woke up prepared to endure a few hours of humiliation for closure. Now I'm in a Bentley with a billionaire I just met, driving along the Santorini coast, and I think I might have inadvertently caused my ex's divorce." "First, you didn't cause anything. Marcus did that all by himself. Second, we haven't just met. We've danced, we've kissed, and we've vanquished your enemies together. That's at least a third date level of intimacy." Despite everything, Isabella laughed. "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "I don't know. Someone colder, more calculating. The articles about you make you sound like a robot programmed for profit." "I am cold and calculating. In business." He glanced at her, his profile sharp against the moonlit sky. "But business isn't life. Something my ex-wife never understood." "You were married? 3 years. Ended 2 years ago. What happened?" "She married my bank account and was disappointed to discover I came attached to it." His voice was light, but Isabella heard the hurt underneath. Victoria wanted the lifestyle, the houses, the jets, the status. She didn't want the man who worked 16-hour days to maintain it all. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It taught me valuable lessons about what actually matters." "Which is connection, authenticity, someone who sees you, not your net worth." He pulled into a small overlook and parked, the sea stretching endlessly before them. "Someone who shows up to their ex's wedding in a department store dress and still outshines every woman there." Isabella looked down at her dress, a simple pastel blue she'd bought on sale. "You could tell?" "I could tell it didn't matter. You wore it like it was couture. That's the difference between you and them. They need the labels to feel valuable. You just are valuable. You barely know me." "Then tell me more." He turned in his seat to face her. "Tell me everything. Start from the beginning." "That could take all night." "I have nowhere else to be." "Do you?" Isabella thought about the hotel room she'd booked, the early flight home she'd scheduled, the empty apartment waiting for her. "No, nowhere else." "Good. Start with your childhood. Were you always this strong? Or did life make you that way? So she told him. About growing up middle class in Portland. About her parents who valued education over wealth. About discovering her talent for design in high school. She told him about meeting Marcus in college, how he'd seemed so driven and passionate, how she'd mistaken ambition for depth. Alexander listened without interrupting, his attention complete and unwavering. When she talked about supporting Marcus through business school, working as a barista by day and freelance designer by night, his jaw tightened. When she described finding out about Penelope through Instagram, Marcus hadn't even had the courage to tell her directly. Alexander's hands clenched on the steering wheel. The worst part, Isabella said, staring out at the moon-kissed water, was that everyone expected it. My friends, my family, they all said we saw this coming, like they'd been watching me waste 5 years and just let me. Maybe they tried to tell you and you weren't ready to hear it. Maybe. She turned to look at him. Your turn. Tell me how Alexander Knight became the ghost of Wall Street. He laughed. You read that article? I Googled you while Marcus and Penelope were arguing. You're quite mysterious. No social media, rarely photographed, no known relationship since your divorce. I prefer privacy. Yet you very publicly danced with me tonight. You made me forget I was supposed to be invisible. He was quiet for a moment, then began. I grew up in New York. Old money on my mother's side, new money on my father's. They divorced when I was 12, messily, publicly. I learned early that people would always want something from me. That sounds lonely. It was. I buried myself in academics, then work, built my first company at 22, sold it at 25 for enough to never work again. But I was bored, so I started investing. Turns out I have a talent for seeing potential others miss. Like with Marcus's company? Like with you? The way he said it, low and intense, made Isabella's breath catch. I'm not a business opportunity. No, you're something far more valuable. Your possibility. What does that mean? Instead of answering, he got out of the car and came around to open her door. Walk with me. The path along the cliff was narrow, but well lit, winding down toward a small beach. Isabella was grateful she'd worn reasonable heels, though Alexander still offered his arm for support. The sound of waves grew louder as they descended, and soon they stood on smooth sand, the Aegean lapping at the shore. It's beautiful, Isabella breathed. It's my favorite spot on the island. I bought the land last year. You own this beach? The beach, the cliff, the house being built up there. He pointed to a construction site she hadn't noticed before. It was supposed to be a vacation home, a place to escape. Supposed to be? Now I'm thinking it could be more. A new beginning, maybe. That's a big decision to make based on one evening. I've made billion-dollar decisions with less certainty than I feel right now. Isabella turned to face him fully. What exactly do you feel? Like I've been sleepwalking for 2 years and you just woke me up. Like every relationship I've had before was just preparation for this moment. Like if I don't see you again after tonight, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. That's intense. I'm an intense person. Fair warning. I just got out of a 5-year relationship. A year ago. You know that too. Marcus mentioned the timeline. Multiple times, usually when drunk. Alexander stepped closer. A year is long enough to know you're ready for something new. Is it? You tell me. Did you spend tonight thinking about Marcus or about me? The honest answer was embarrassing and exhilarating. From the moment Alexander had asked her to dance, Marcus had become background noise. You. But that doesn't mean... It means everything. His hands came up to frame her face. I'm going to make you an offer. I'm not for sale. Not that kind of offer. Give me 1 week, 7 days. Stay here in Santorini with me. Let me show you what it's like to be treasured instead of tolerated. After that, if you want to go home and never see me again, I'll accept it. I have a job. A life. I'll compensate your employer for your time. As for your life, When's the last time you did something just for yourself? Isabella tried to remember. Even her trip to this wedding had been about closure for Marcus, not joy for herself. I can't just stay with a stranger for a week. We're not strangers anymore. We're the couple who stole the show at Marcus Chen's wedding. There are probably pictures of us dancing all over social media by now. As if to prove his point, Isabella's phone buzzed with notifications. She pulled it out to find dozens of messages, all variations of "Who's the hot guy?" and "You look amazing," and Marcus looked like he wanted to die. One message was from Marcus himself. "We need to talk." Alexander read it over her shoulder. "No, you don't. Maybe I should." What could he possibly say that matters now? He made his choice. Now make yours. "You're asking me to choose you. I don't even know your middle name." "James, Alexander James Knight. I'm 34 years old. I have a degree from MIT and an MBA from Harvard. I speak 4 languages. I hate cilantro, but love sushi. I run 5 miles every morning. I have a scar on my left shoulder from a sailing accident. I donate anonymously to 37 charities. I haven't taken a vacation in 2 years, and I haven't felt this alive since... ever. That's quite a resume. Your turn." Isabella found herself smiling. Isabella Rose Moore, 28 years old. Degree in graphic design from Portland State. I speak English and bad Spanish. I love cilantro and sushi. I do yoga but hate running. I have a tattoo you can't see. I volunteer at the animal shelter on weekends. I haven't been on a real vacation in 5 years. And I haven't felt this wanted since... ever. A tattoo? His eyes sparked with interest. Where? That's at least 5th date information. Then we better get started on dates 2 through 4. He pulled out his phone. "I'm booking you a suite at my hotel. Your own space, your own rules. No pressure, no expectations, just possibility. Alexander, 1 week. Give me 1 week to show you how you should be treated. If nothing else, consider it a vacation you desperately deserve." Isabella looked at this man. This stranger who defended her, danced with her, kissed her like she was precious. Then she thought about her empty apartment, her safe job, her predictable life. 1 week, she agreed, "but I'm paying for my own room." "Absolutely not." "Then no deal." He studied her for a moment, then smiled. "Compromise. You pay for the room, I pay for everything else." "Everything else?" "Dinners, activities, whatever you want to do." "I'm going to court you properly, Isabella Moore, the way Marcus should have from the beginning." They walked back to the car as Isabella's phone continued buzzing with messages. She turned it off entirely, deciding that whatever drama was unfolding at the wedding could wait. For the first time in years, she was choosing herself first. The drive to the hotel was quiet but comfortable, the kind of silence that felt full rather than empty. Alexander had called ahead, and when they arrived at the Canaves Oya, a luxury hotel perched on the caldera, the staff was waiting. "Mr. Knight, Ms. Moore, welcome. We have the honeymoon suite available as requested." "2 suites," Alexander corrected smoothly. "Adjacent if possible, but separate." The receptionist barely missed a beat. "Of course, the captain's suite and the romantic suite are next to each other with connecting terraces." Isabella started to protest the obvious expense, but Alexander touched her lower back gently. "Choose your battles," he murmured. "This isn't one worth fighting." Her suite was breathtaking. Whitewashed walls, vaulted ceilings, a private plunge pool overlooking the caldera. The bed was draped in white linen, and fresh flowers filled every surface. It was the kind of room she'd only seen in magazines. "This is too much," she said, when Alexander showed her around. "This is exactly enough. You've been accepting less than you deserve for so long, even excess feels wrong." He moved to the terrace doors, opening them to let in the sea breeze. "I'll leave you to settle in. Tomorrow morning? Breakfast at 9? "Alexander, wait." She caught his arm as he turned to go. "Why are you really doing this?" He turned back, his expression serious. "You want the truth?" "Always. I've been successful my entire adult life. I've built companies, made fortunes, conquered whatever I set my mind to. But I've been alone through all of it. Even when I was married, I was alone. Tonight, dancing with you, I felt connected. For the first time in years, I felt like myself instead of my net worth. That could just be the romance of the wedding. I don't do romance, or I didn't until you. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Give me this week to prove this is real. After he left, Isabella stood on her terrace staring out at the midnight sea. Below she could see other hotel guests on their balconies, couples wrapped in each other's arms. A year ago that had been her and Marcus, though even then she'd felt the distance growing between them. Her phone, when she turned it back on, had 57 missed calls, 20 from Marcus, 15 from her best friend Sophie, the rest from numbers she didn't recognize. She called Sophie first. "Oh my God, Isabella, are you okay? The photos, everyone's talking about it." "What photos?" "You dancing with that gorgeous man, Marcus having a breakdown, Penelope throwing her ring at him. It's all over Instagram." Isabella sank onto the plush sofa. "Penelope threw her ring?" "Girl, the wedding imploded after you left. Apparently, Marcus tried to chase after you. Penelope had a meltdown. Her father demanded an annulment, and someone called the police. It's a disaster. I didn't mean for—" "Stop right there. You didn't do anything except show up looking gorgeous and dance with a hot billionaire. Marcus did this to himself." Sophie paused. "Speaking of the billionaire, who is he and when do I get to meet him?" "His name is Alexander Knight and it's complicated." "Complicated how?" "Because from the photos it looks pretty simple. He looks at you like you hung the moon." "We just met tonight." "So?" "My parents met at a bus stop and were married 6 months later. 35 years and counting." "This is different. He's intense. He wants me to stay in Santorini for a week." "And? And what? And why aren't you already unpacking?" "Isabella, you've played it safe your entire life. You dated Marcus for 5 years, and look how that turned out. Maybe it's time to take a risk. What if it's a mistake? What if it's not? What if this is the universe finally giving you what you deserve?" After hanging up with Sophie, Isabella ignored Marcus's calls and texts. She did read one from Penelope. "I hope you're happy. You ruined my wedding." Isabella typed back, "I didn't ruin anything, I just revealed what was already broken." Then she blocked them both. She showered in the marble bathroom, washing away the evening's drama, then slipped into the complimentary silk robe. She was brushing her hair when she heard music from the terrace next door, jazz, soft and melancholic. Curious, she stepped out to find Alexander on his own terrace, separated from hers by only a low wall. He'd changed into linen pants and a white shirt, barefoot, a glass of wine in his hand. "Can't sleep?" she asked. He turned, smiling when he saw her. "Too wired, you?" "Same, it's been an eventful evening." "That's one way to put it." He moved to the wall between them. "Wine?" "Please." He disappeared inside, returning with a bottle and 2 glasses. With surprising agility, he climbed over the wall onto her terrace. "You could have used the door," Isabella laughed. "Where's the romance in that?" He poured the wine, something that probably cost more than her monthly rent, and handed her a glass. "Two unexpected meetings. Two unexpected everything." They clinked glasses and sipped. The wine was perfect, of course. Everything about Alexander was perfect, which should have been intimidating but somehow wasn't. "Tell me about the tattoo," he said, settling into one of the terrace chairs. "That's still 5th date information." "This is our 2nd date. Technically 3rd if you count the beach." "You're counting the beach?" "I'm counting every moment." He studied her over his wine glass. "You're nervous." "Shouldn't I be? I'm in Greece with a man I met 4 hours ago. 5 hours now, and you're not in Greece with me. You're in Greece near me. Important distinction. You climb over terrace walls, that's pretty with." "Fair point." He grew serious. "Isabella, I need you to know something. I'm not expecting anything from this week except your company. No pressure, no assumptions. If all we do is talk and share meals, that's enough. And if we do more," his eyes darkened, "then we do more, but on your timeline, not mine." "What if my timeline is faster than yours?" "Impossible. I wanted to kiss you the moment I saw you. Before we even spoke, you were sitting alone, but you weren't trying to hide. Your chin was up, your shoulders back. You were daring the world to pity you, refusing to give them the satisfaction. It was the most attractive thing I'd ever seen. Isabella felt heat rise in her cheeks. I was dying inside. But you didn't let it show. That takes strength most people don't have. Or stubbornness. Same thing, different marketing. They talked until the sun began to lighten the horizon, about everything and nothing. Alexander told her about his favorite buildings in the world, the Library of Celsus in Ephesus, his worst business decision, passing on Netflix stock, his recurring dream, flying, always flying. Isabella shared her secret ambition to design book covers, her guilty pleasure, reality TV, her biggest fear, being forgotten. Impossible, Alexander said when she admitted the last one. You're unforgettable. You have to say that. I don't have to say anything. I choose to say it because it's true. When she finally grew too tired to keep her eyes open, he carried her to her bed, fully clothed, and tucked her in like she was precious. Sleep, he murmured, kissing her forehead. We have a week of adventures ahead. Isabella woke at noon to find a note slipped under her door. Breakfast has become lunch. Terrace restaurant when you're ready. Wear something comfortable. A. She found him at a table overlooking the caldera, typing on his laptop, dressed in shorts and a polo shirt that made him look younger, more approachable. He looked up when she arrived, his face lighting up in a way that made her stomach flutter. You came, he said, standing to pull out her chair. Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you might wake up and realize running off with a stranger was insane. It is insane, but I'm doing it anyway. Good. I've planned our day. Already? Subject to your approval, of course. First lunch, then sailing. I've chartered a boat. Then dinner at a place only locals know about, then dancing under the stars. You've been busy. I couldn't sleep after I left you. Too excited. About what? About showing you this island through my eyes. About learning to see it through yours. About the possibility of 7 whole days with you. The waiter arrived with menus, but Alexander waved them away. Trust me? Apparently, he ordered in fluent Greek, the language flowing like music from his lips. The waiter nodded approvingly and disappeared. You speak Greek? Among other languages, I believe in being able to communicate wherever I go. I barely speak English before coffee. Then we'll have to make sure you always have coffee. He reached across the table, taking her hand. How are you feeling about last night? Like it was a dream. Did I really dance with you at my ex's wedding? You did. Beautifully. Did Marcus really chase after us? He did. Pathetically. Did you really kiss me? Not nearly enough. His thumb stroked over her knuckles. But I intend to remedy that. Confident. Hopeful. Their food arrived, a feast of Greek specialties, dolmades, moussaka, fresh fish, Greek salad, tzatziki with warm pita. Alexander served her portions of everything, insisting she try it all. This is too much food, she protested. This is experiencing life. You've been living on crumbs, Isabella. It's time for a feast. The sailing was magical. Alexander hadn't just chartered a boat, he'd chartered a yacht, complete with captain and crew. They sailed around the caldera, stopping at the hot springs where the water was warm and therapeutic. Isabella hadn't brought a swimsuit, but there was a boutique on board. Of course there was, with dozens of options. This is ridiculous, she said, modeling a simple black bikini that fit perfectly. This is perfect, Alexander corrected, his eyes hot as they tracked over her body. You're perfect. They swam in the warm springs, the mineral-rich water turning their skin soft. Alexander was a strong swimmer, but he stayed close, always within arm's reach. When she floated on her back, eyes closed against the sun, she felt his hand support her lower back, keeping her stable. I've got you, he murmured when she startled. I know, she replied, and realized she meant it. Despite knowing him less than 24 hours, she trusted him in a way she'd never trusted Marcus, even after 5 years. As the sun began to set, They anchored near the red beach, the dramatic cliffs glowing in the golden hour light. The crew had prepared dinner on deck, fresh seafood, Greek wine, baklava for dessert. "Dance with me," Alexander said, as music drifted from hidden speakers. "Again?" "Always." This time there was no audience, no ex-boyfriend to scandalize, no wedding guests to impress. It was just them, swaying on the deck of a yacht as the sun set over the Aegean. "I could get used to this," Isabella admitted. "You should. You deserve this every day." "No one deserves this. This is fairy tale stuff." "You're wrong. You deserve this and more. Marcus just made you forget that." "Why do you keep bringing up Marcus?" "Because I need you to understand the difference. He took you for granted. I never will. He made you feel like you were too much. I think you're exactly enough. He was embarrassed by your background. I'm impressed by it. You don't know my background. Middle-class family, state school education, worked your way through college, never had anything handed to you. Am I close? Dead on. That's a background to be proud of. You built yourself. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" "Your world," Isabella repeated. "We keep coming back to that. We're from different worlds, Alexander." "No," Alexander said firmly, pulling her closer. "We're from the same world. The one where people fight for what they want, where loyalty matters more than money, where connections are about souls, not bank accounts. Marcus was the one from a different world, the world where everything is transactional. He wasn't always like that." "Yes, he was. You just loved him too much to see it." Alexander spun her gently. "Tell me, when you designed his app interface, the one that got him his first million in funding, did he credit you?" Isabella's silence was answer enough. "When you worked 2 jobs to support him through business school, did he ever offer to return the favor when you wanted to take design courses? He said we couldn't afford. You couldn't afford it, but somehow he could afford golf club memberships and expensive suits for networking. You really did research him. I research everyone I invest in. The more I learned about Marcus, the more I wondered about the woman in the background of all his stories. The one he mentioned accidentally, then quickly moved past. His college girlfriend who was around during the early days. That's all I was to him in the end, the college girlfriend. You were the foundation he built his success on, then discarded when he didn't need you anymore." Alexander stopped dancing, his hands coming up to frame her face. "I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to really hear it. Okay. You are not someone's stepping stone. You are not a supporting character in someone else's success story. You are the protagonist, the hero, the leading lady, and anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve a moment of your time." Tears pricked Isabella's eyes. "You barely know me. I know enough, and I want to know more. Everything, actually." He kissed her then, there on the yacht deck with the Greek sunset painting everything gold. This kiss was different from the one on the terrace, deeper, hungrier, full of promise. Isabella's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, and she felt him groan against her mouth. "Isabella," he breathed when they broke apart. "You're destroying my self-control." "Good. Not good. I promised myself I'd be a gentleman, that I'd court you properly." "Maybe I don't want a gentleman." His eyes darkened. "Don't say things like that unless you mean them." "I mean everything I say." "Then we should go back to the hotel now before I do something inappropriate on this yacht." The ride back was charged with tension. They sat on opposite sides of the car, but Isabella could feel the pull between them, electric and undeniable. Every time the car turned and their knees touched, sparks shot through her body. At the hotel, Alexander walked her to her door like a proper gentleman, though his hand on her lower back burned through her dress. "Dinner was amazing," she said, unlocking her door. "The whole day was amazing." "It's not over. The dancing under the stars I promised." "I thought the yacht was... That was dancing at sunset, very different from stars." He checked his watch. 1 hour. Wear something you can move in." An hour later, he led her to a private area of the hotel where a dance floor had been set up, twinkling lights strung overhead, mixing with the actual stars. A small band played live music, sometimes Greek, sometimes jazz, sometimes pop songs slowed to sultry ballads. You arranged all this? I made some calls. In one day. Money has its privileges, but this isn't about money. It's about creating moments worth remembering. They danced for hours, sometimes fast and playful, sometimes slow and intimate. Other hotel guests stopped to watch, some joining them on the floor. But Isabella was only aware of Alexander, the way he moved, the way he looked at her, the way he made her feel like she was the only woman in the world. I could do this forever, she said, during a particularly slow song, her head resting on his chest. That can be arranged. You can't arrange forever. Watch me. When the band finally stopped playing, it was nearly 3 in the morning. They walked back to their suites hand in hand, drunk on moonlight and possibility. Thank you, Isabella said at her door, for today, for tonight, for all of it. Thank you for saying yes, for giving this a chance. Alexander? Yes? I know we said my timeline, but... She pulled him down for a kiss, pouring all her want into it. Stay. Isabella. Not for that. Just stay. Sleep next to me. I want to wake up with you there. He stayed. They lay fully clothed on top of the covers, talking until dawn. About their worst dates, his involved a woman who brought her mother, hers involved food poisoning. Their childhood dreams. He wanted to be an astronaut. She wanted to be a Disney animator. Their favorite words. His was serendipity. Hers was luminescent. Why serendipity? She asked, her head on his shoulder. Because it means finding something beautiful without looking for it. Like you. I was at that wedding very much on purpose. But I wasn't looking for you. I was there to suffer through Marcus's pretentious reception, make my excuses and leave. Instead, I found you. And changed everything. Everything, he agreed, pressing a kiss to her hair. When Isabella woke, the sun was high and Alexander was watching her, his expression soft. Creepy, she murmured. Captivated, he corrected. You're beautiful when you sleep. I probably drooled. Adorably. She hit him with a pillow, which started a pillow fight that ended with him pinning her to the bed, both of them laughing and breathless. Is this day 3 or 4? She asked. Of our dates, 4. Definitely 4. One more until I tell you about the tattoo. I'm counting the hours. They spent that day exploring Oya, wandering the narrow streets, popping into galleries and shops. Alexander bought her a painting she admired. It matches your eyes, a dress that made her feel like a goddess. You need options for our dinners, and a pair of earrings she didn't even remember looking at. You touched them twice. That means you wanted them. You have to stop buying me things, she protested. Why? Because it feels like, I don't know, like you're trying to buy me. He stopped walking, turning to face her fully. Is that what you think? No, but Isabella, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. What's the point of having it if I can't use it to make you smile? These aren't transactions, they're gifts, expressions of how I feel. Which is completely, utterly besotted. That evening they had dinner at the local place he'd promised. A family-run taverna, where the grandmother cooked and the grandfather played bouzouki. No tourists, just locals who welcomed them like family. Yasu, Alexander, the grandmother called out, rushing to embrace him. You know them. I helped them save the restaurant last year. Traditional places like this were struggling during the pandemic. So you saved them? I invested. There's a difference. But watching how the family treated him, with genuine warmth and affection, Isabella saw the truth. Alexander might call it investing, but it was really saving. How many other businesses had he quietly rescued? They were served family-style, dish after dish of authentic Greek food. The grandfather played and soon people were dancing. Not the choreographed dancing of the hotel, but real Greek dancing, full of joy and life. Come, Alexander said, pulling her up. I don't know these dances. Neither do I. That's not the point. They joined the line of dancers, laughing as they tried to follow the steps. Isabella kicked when she should have stepped, turned when she should have jumped, but no one cared. They were welcomed into the celebration simply for trying. "This is amazing," she shouted over the music. "This is life," Alexander replied, spinning her out of the line and into his arms. Real life, not the performed version at places like Marcus's wedding. At the mention of Marcus, Isabella realized she hadn't thought about him all day, hadn't checked her phone, hadn't wondered what was happening back home. For the first time in years, she was completely present in her own life. "What are you thinking?" Alexander asked later as they walked along the beach below the taverna. "That I haven't been this happy in maybe ever." That's a big statement. It's a true one. Even when things were good with Marcus, there was always this underlying anxiety. Was I good enough? Was I doing enough? Was I enough? With you, I just am. You're more than enough. You're everything. You can't know that after 4 days. 5. And yes, I can. He stopped walking, taking both her hands. I knew it after 4 hours, maybe 4 minutes. That's impossible. Is it? Haven't you felt it too? This recognition, like we've been looking for each other without knowing it? Isabella wanted to deny it, to be sensible and cautious, but standing there on the beach with the moon reflecting off the water and Alexander looking at her like she was his whole world, she couldn't lie. "Yes," she admitted. "I feel it too." He kissed her then, and this time there was no holding back. His hands tangled in her hair, hers slid under his shirt to touch warm skin. When he lifted her, she wrapped her legs around his waist, lost in the taste and feel of him. "Hotel," he gasped against her mouth. "Now." They barely made it to her suite before clothes started coming off. Alexander tried to slow down, to be gentle, but Isabella was having none of it. "I've waited long enough," she said, pulling his shirt over his head. "My whole life, maybe." "Isabella. My timeline, remember? And my timeline says now." What followed was a revelation. With Marcus, intimacy had become routine, another task to complete. With Alexander, it was a conversation without words, a dance they both knew without learning the steps. He touched her like she was precious, but not fragile, passionate, but not possessive. Afterward, they lay tangled together, sweat cooling on their skin. "So," Alexander said, his voice rough, "the tattoo." Isabella laughed, showing him the small constellation on her hip. "Orion. I got it after my dad died. He used to show me the stars, said Orion was the protector." Alexander traced it with his finger. "It's beautiful. You're beautiful. You're biased. Completely. Doesn't make it less true." They made love again, slower this time, learning each other's rhythms and preferences. When they finally fell asleep, the sun was rising again. Isabella woke to her phone ringing. She'd forgotten she'd turned it back on. The screen showed her boss's name. "Hello? Isabella." "Thank God. I've been trying to reach you for 2 days. There's been a development with the Henderson account. They want to move the presentation up. Can you be back by tomorrow?" Reality crashed in. She had a job, responsibilities, a life in Portland that had nothing to do with magical weeks in Greece with billionaire strangers. I'm in Greece." "Greece? What are you doing in Greece?" "It's complicated." "Well, uncomplicated. This presentation could make your career, Isabella. Don't throw it away for some vacation." After she hung up, she found Alexander on the terrace, coffee already waiting for her. "You heard? Your side. Work needs you back? It's an important presentation, one I've been working toward for months." "Then you should go." Her heart sank. "Just like that?" "No, not just like that." He pulled her onto his lap. "I meant you should go do your presentation. Kill it, actually. Then come back. To Greece. To me, wherever I am." He tucked her hair behind her ear. "I know this week was supposed to be about showing you how you should be treated, but somewhere along the way, it became about me not being able to imagine my life without you." "Alexander, I'm in love with you, Isabella. I know it's too fast, too much, too everything, but it's true." Isabella's heart stopped. "You love me?" Completely, desperately, permanently. After 5 days? After 5 minutes. It just took me 5 days to find the courage to say it. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel for more unexpected love stories. Share in the comments. Have you ever found love in the most unexpected places? Remember, sometimes the best things happen when we're brave enough to dance with strangers. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more romantic stories.